what is entrepreneurship? Actually, when I wanted to be 30 years ago, in the year 1991, 92, I didn't even know the definition of entrepreneurship. Even though I am from an English medium school and all of that, even though I didn't think of myself as an entrepreneur. But nevertheless, what is entrepreneurship? I want to, because I see a lot of youngsters in the audience, and I'm glad that is there, because I think the entrepreneurship has to start of our country, and therefore, what is entrepreneurship? Entrepreneurship means you have an idea, you have an idea, and you want to make that idea into a business, and you grow it into a reality. And when that reality comes to fruit, you enjoy the benefits of that, both in terms of wealth and owing the livelihoods of people who are working with you, for you, and the society at large. So that is what is called an entrepreneurship. So for entrepreneurship, of course, you look at types at the top. They will say there are 4 types of entrepreneurship. One is a small business entrepreneurship. It could be somebody who starts a small grocery store in the corner of the street. Never been in that business before. But it could be a very small business, and still it's an entrepreneurship. The second type, which thing I should classify myself, is a startup. A startup, when this idea has not been thought about by anybody else, but based on your passion, you think you can start that idea and you can make it into reality, is what we call a startup entrepreneurship. Then they say large companies doing that. Is a large company maybe doing so many things in the past generations maybe, but they decide that I think we're going to do something new. That is also an entrepreneurship. It's something new. In the Mooname, it's called social entrepreneurship. What is social entrepreneurship? Idea business ஒரு பெனிஃபிட் கிடைக்கும், நம்ம கூட வேலை செஞ்சவங்களுக்கும் நம்மளோட சமுதாயத்துக்கும் அது மூலியமாக வளர்ச்சி கிடைக்கும், பொருளாதாரம் மேம்பாடு கிடைக்குங்கிறதா இஸ் தட். சோஷியல் என்டர்பிரினர்ஷிப் யூ டோன்ட் டூ ஃபார் ப்ராஃபிட். அது ஒரு ப்ராஃபிட் பண்ணல. We are doing it because you think through that you can bring a change to society. In some way you can bring it. In the other types of entrepreneurship, you have a timeline. When you start the thing, I'm starting today, in 1 year I want to be this, in 5 years I want to be this, in 10 years I want to create my business to so and so, is what is the regular entrepreneurship. In social entrepreneurship, it will be a whole lifetime, and you may make a small change. Maybe it will take a whole lifetime. Maybe it will take a whole lifetime, next 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. I don't care. Because for me, it gives me the joy that through that I'm going to bring a change to society. That's about social entrepreneurship. To be an entrepreneur, what do you need? First of all, you must have passion for what you want to do. So, over a passion life will be different things. I have this passion for agriculture. There's that passion. So, I don't know whether it's genetics or because of the mentorship I had from my grandfather, who himself was a freedom fighter of our region, and he was an agriculturist or not in this now, but whereas so the agriculture even though I went to medicine and I did my education in my MD, I trained in cardiology and post-graduation from both. I was wondering where maybe to go to UK, US, my grandfather was very smartly or so I get a simple okay. What do you want to do? Like I said, I want to do medicine, I want to do agriculture. I don't want to choose for anything. The redeem in the Latin redeem UK, US, or after இங்கே நம்மளுடைய ரெண்டி சேர்த்து பண்ணலாம். இவர் மருத்துவராகவும் இருக்கலாம், இவர் விவசாயமாக இருக்கலாம் அப்படின்னு சொல்லி that was my one of the motivations for coming back in 1990. Having come back here in 1990, I'm going to just talk about how certain qualities of entrepreneurship are needed and how that has helped me to grow into if I can call myself a successful entrepreneur. Having come back and having practicing medicine on one side, I want to, my passion for agriculture, I said to be an entrepreneur, you must have a passion for something. It could be agriculture, it could be something else for you. But you must have a passion. Without passion, you can never be successful. Then once I have a passion, then you must have a vision for my passion. I have I believe that I have a farm, and that farm is giving me 10,000 rupees per year. 1 year I'm making a loss. But I feel that if I have that passion, an idea, I can convert it into something that is very, very profitable. So an idea, a business is very important to have. So with that, I started first with kind of farm. My village is profitable. So I applied the community knowledge and ways community ways what is a writing table and lakh and acre a big thing in the 1990s. But how would I do that? Can I do it? So then now that I have a passion, I have a vision, how do I achieve that? The next is just having an idea and dream is not enough. You have to have the knowledge for that. You have to acquire the knowledge, go anywhere, everywhere, whatever it takes, and you have to search for it. Luckily, I think being a doctor, I have the ability to read, for the agriculture book, but in the plant biology, plant physiology, if you read the human physiology, it's not too different from it. So they will compare. Third most important quality, of the important qualities, is to gain knowledge. After you gain knowledge, the next and fourth thing is to be bold. Be bold, team of great. Yaar one thing I'm pioneering for another life. All have years to life. And as Winston Churchill once said, here's just a reaction, but courage is a decision. To take a decision to walk through it. You have a plan of how you will conquer it. So therefore, do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to say you're afraid. But be bold enough to say, I will conquer that. I have a plan. I have a clear plan of how I'm going to win that particular situation. So when we did start, there was a lot of, I looked at innovative agriculture, I looked at multi-cropping. In those days, the only thing we had was taught to the poverty. So I thought, why not multi-cropping? So I looked at multi-cropping. And in multi-cropping, those crops are other than before, could be a banana, could be a turmeric, something else. But I said, why not do something else? Something else, not just because I like something else, because it is practically possible. Because I gained the knowledge of traveling to universities from 1990 to 96, and said, I studied different crops, and said, why not do something different? And the different of the things that was different was vanilla, another was nutmeg. I don't think anybody prior to 1994, we all know nutmeg, but nobody planted nutmeg under the coconut tree as a second-tier crop. So I started with coconut. I had a whole stock of vanilla, and I wondered why in India we're not doing it, in other countries are doing it. After not to say around this in the same domestic area as India, why not? So I went in search of it. I found that particular. Luckily, there was a few plants that survived in my life about 150 years since the British had planted. If you want to have an idea of a vision and how somebody has done that, I'm a lot of Entrepreneurship and the idea of statue. I don't know how many of you reported the same as more than the statue of Parliament. And as the statue of a man with his hand pointed out, and you could say, Carver Marsh. Many of you would have seen that. But Carver Marsh was our thing. Imagine, he comes from England, there was no aeroplane. He comes and looks at, he's somebody who is an engineer, and he wants to plant. இங்கே வந்து அவருடைய நல்ல ஒரு புக்கு இருக்கார், தியானமலைன்னு சொல்லி. He writes about a book where கோயம்புத்தூர்லேருந்து ஒரு மாட்டு வண்டியில் பொள்ளாச்சி வந்து சேர்ந்தோம். அதுக்கப்புறம் மலை அடிவாரத்துலேருந்து மேலே அங்கே இருக்கக்கூடிய மனசுகளாக சேர்ந்து we trekked to the forest. 7 நாள் கழிச்சு அங்கே வந்து சேர்ந்தோம். இந்த இடத்துக்கு 7 நாள் டே நைட் நடந்து அங்கே வந்து பார்த்தோம். அங்கே வந்து பார்த்துட்டு ஒரு virgin forest பார்த்துட்டு he says, I will plant tea. So that is vision. So when those years with no facilities that we have today, if a man from across the seas can come to our place, our town, walk up, trek up through virgin forest full of tigers and elephants and whatnot, and say, I will plant. And what we are doing is nothing. It's very, very small. What we do. So therefore, think big. Think big. That's the next thing that we need to do as an entrepreneur. So why can't I start something called Vanilla and make it something, make India on the map, or on the vanilla map of the world, was my dream, my vision. So I started as a farmer, I gained the knowledge, I grew it, I processed it, and thereafter, by the late 90s, we had a lot of joint ventures. I became a businessman from a farmer, which is also a type of business, I think. I became what you call a processor and international businessman in the year 2003, which is about 20 years ago. And initially, I did a joint venture. I learned a lot, I lost a lot. That was a joint venture. Yes, I was able to put our product of, say, Pollachi vanilla or vanilla from India onto the global map. But of course, it was not a great financial remuneration or whatever, but at least it gave me a lot of experience. So what I'm saying is the next lesson in entrepreneurship. A lot of times it may not be the money you make, it's about the lesson you learn, the experience you gain, even from pitfalls during that journey. Take that, absorb it, and keep those for the next step up that you will have to use. Through that, for 10 years, I learned about international business. I was able to travel everywhere. I was able to make the people in the world, vanilla consuming countries of the world, be it in the US or Europe, to say, yes, vanilla from India is also something that is good. In 2004, based on what we processed in vanilla here, the French government, they have a particular government authority which is called the TEDxPollachi. They tested vanillas from all over the world. And they sent a team here to Pollachi to say that they want to check on something that they have a doubt on. I was very shocked. Doubt on the organization of TEDxPollachi, F for fraud. So basically, it's an organization that checks for any adulteration and fraud in food stuff. They came here to check why vanilla from South India, especially that was exported from this town called Pollachi, is having the highest vanillin content in the world, which is not theoretically possible. So they felt it is so high that there must be something that is wrong there. Is there any adulteration with some artificial or synthetic product? I didn't know this then, but that was the purpose of their visit. And of course, they did all sorts of scientific tests. They gave a notification which is called 63/2004. It still stands that vanilla from this part of India, which is our town, has got the highest vanillin content in the world. It took me 10 years to get to that step. It didn't happen overnight. So that comes to the next point. Resilience, perseverance. Do not give up. You will not quit is what you need as an entrepreneur. I may not win today, but I will win some other day. I will get there. Is what you have. I know I will get there. I don't know when, but I'm open so much more time, but I will get there is the next quality that you need to have. At the end of 2014, my joint venture, then I said, now it's time to scale up. We started way back in 2000 with something that was a 1 crore business. I will take this to be what I had as my vision. Happened. It took a long time, especially, but after 2014, we could do it in just a few, 3 to 4 years, because of the work that we had put in for the last 10 to 15 years. So therefore, know when will your windfall come, when will that great bonanza come. May not be 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, but after you lay the foundation to come quickly. Be sure of that. To achieve that, the next thing you have to know is you have to value relationships, you have to value quality. In whatever you do not compromise on those two things. Whatever you make, there will be days when something is happening with quality. There will be days where a client will come and say there is a problem with this. But you have to immediately address that. Make sure that you bear the loss for that, not the person, because as Gandhi always says, the customer is the most important person in any business. Quality is most important. The client is the most important person. You are dependent on him for your business, not the other way around. So make sure that people happy is what I would say is the most important quality. Relationships. You know, to say any business to be sustainable, we have to look at three things. The people, the client, the profit. These are three things. The profitability may not be on day 1, it may not be on day 3, it may not be in year 5, but at some day you know it will be there. But the people and the client you have to respect from day 1. What do I mean by people? The people are the people who work with you. You may call them employees, but unless the employee is happy, unless he has both mentally and financially for something sustainable, you will not have enough support to scale up your business. So what we did was the next thing was keeping the employees happy, making sure they have not just the minimum wages act, making sure they have incentives for what they do well, making sure they have transport, making sure they have social security, with all of this, and making sure that a way of assessing all this, you have certifications where independently somebody comes and assesses your unit or your factory or whatever to say whether it's socially you are compliant with all of this. So making sure that you have the employees up. I should be, when I did that, my 2 things that I said is I will make sure all my employees, if possible, within my locality. So right from 2003 to today, every single employee in our factory, whether it's 500 people who work for the peak season or say 200 people who work for the off season, are from our garment workers. To make sure that they're able to give back to the society that they give them. None of them had a degree. None of them had a degree. None of them had a degree in food processing, but that is your job to do it. Yours being you as an entrepreneur. You have to teach. So I took it on myself to teach the people who work for me. In the last 20 years, since 2 to now, we have had literally zero attrition. You must pride yourself in saying that you have no worker attrition. That is one of the benchmarks to say that you are supporting the people that are working with you. So that is a very, very important quality, I would say. Support the people. The plan is where you're doing whatever to make sure environment, you're respecting the environment. I have one complaint about our own society. We are a very clean society in our homes. I think having a bath every day is a part of our culture. Having a bath twice a day is a part of many of our culture. To make sure our home is swept every day is part of our culture. வீட்டில் வந்து முன்னாடி வந்து வாசலை தொழிச்சு சுத்தமாக வைக்கிறது part of our culture. But வீட்டில் இருக்க குப்பையை கொண்டு பெருமளவில் வீசுறது ஒரு part of our culture. We keep our house clean, but we don't keep our street clean. So that particular the disregard for environment is a culture that we have to teach our children. So that is very important. This planet, without this planet, we are nothing. So all has to start from individual families to respect the environment. It's something, a lesson that has to start from home. That's about the planet. The problem, of course, I said, is about you must have a business plan of how you get to some point of time how you scale up. Do not scale up too fast. At the same time, don't be afraid to grow. And as I always keep saying, don't be afraid of fear. We all face fears, including me. We all face failures, including me. But we have a plan to walk through it, to get out of it, and to grow. To be entrepreneurs and to think out of the box and therefore create prosperity think for yourself, for your family, and the society around you. Thank you very much.